At some point during the latter half of yesterday, my channel reached over 1,000 subscribers, and I decided to project my feelings in the form of a live stream from that point onward. And really, what I have to say can be boiled down to thank you, and that would extend to everyone who has subscribed and has tried to watch my content. And I'm frankly at a loss for words. I did not believe at any point I would actually get to this number. So it's something that I can't really translate in an eloquent manner, because it's one of those things where you're more taken aback. And even in knowing about it, knowing I was going to do this, and I guess trying to compose my thoughts at one point, even on paper, I couldn't come up with something that I felt coherently and accurately described how I felt in relation to this, other than saying thank you over and over again. I didn't think I should say it 1,000 times for every single person that had decided to click the button or add me to their subscriptions. Now, there is a point of contention, which is that much of my content I seek to diversify. So I'm typically into current events in the news. Um, I don't really watch many shows that are presently airing other than Dragon Ball, which that's mainly because it's so easy to speak about that, and being familiar with it, I can just kind of tear things apart in relation to it. The relationship stuff can still be talked about, and the background is really distracting. Hey, the problem is, if I do this, I can't mess with it, and I'm holding the camera, so I'd have to get up and throw the. You just have to deal with it for the moment. I'll try to have it differently on the next stream or whenever I decide to do that, which will probably be tomorrow. So that, I apologize for the lighting, but I'm presently unable to tamper with it. It is what it is. Um, so there's several things I still seek to um, discuss or otherwise clarify, and I don't want the channel to be reduced to, oh well, I'm just going to pander, even though they are pretty good too. I just resonate with the way you view things. Well, again, that's part of what I'm conflicted about, because when you get a more massive response to something, you're encouraged to proceed with it. So, for example, if my most viewed material hadn't have been that one relationship video from almost 2 years ago, and it only had about, as I predicted during the video, 3 views, I probably wouldn't have made any more, because I would have been convinced that this wasn't something that there was a massive response for. The political stuff, whether it was getting one view or 100, I always made because it was something I was actively interested in, and thought my, you know, speaking about it would otherwise create some possible thought for, whoever saw it. So what I'm saying is there was an incentive created uh, to just discuss how things were going with the relationships, and it's also built around using it as a venting mechanism, because it's an ongoing, I don't know what you would call it, arc, where I just repeatedly will try and try and try, and if something bad happened, I just get on the camera. You talk about the person anonymously, get it out of the way, you feel better. And I know there are those who likely have had the same encounters or otherwise experienced the same thing. So I saw it as twofold, that you could speak about a thing with an attempt at clarity, and also possibly have it resonate with another person that had went through the same ordeal. And there's been I think, a nice response to it. So I don't see a need to cease or otherwise discontinue that endeavor. And I think it's done in a manner that really is the best in which it can be done. I don't insult any of these various females. They're not. Their identities are kept, confidential. Um, there's really nothing I would change about my delivery. And I don't see where one would be offended by my speaking of a particular person. If you're not that person, then you're not them. So that's one of the major factors behind even speaking about that topic. Um, and I don't want there to be this idea, and here goes the rambling again that that one user thought the need to call out. Um, there is a struggle over, because I'm typically more inclined to speak about relationship stuff if there's nothing in the news for that particular day or series of days. And that's due to the fact that I always want it to have something that I can, use or otherwise have content for. Now, I think with both topics, I can break it down to a decent extent, but a lot of the material for the current events is learned. I have to go and actually sometimes look things up. Okay, this happened this year. The relationship stuff, I just speak about a particular person I was involved with. I can just go off of my memory of how events transpired and how things were conducted. So they're both, they have varying levels of difficulty because you also have to keep it to a certain reserve status, because there are times when it just happens and you get so frustrated and you just want to call somebody whatever, and you have to pause and realize that there is a general ineffectiveness in the game of name calling. And that is something that I think a lot of people who either are involved with trying to see vlogs about relationships or vlogs about current events or vlogs about any particular topic, you can go into the comment section of any of those videos and you'll see someone call typically the person who made the video or the person they're talking about some name that is degrading. And they have the First Amendment right to do that, freedom of speech, but it doesn't do much in the way of actually solving anything. See, part of the reason I discuss this stuff is because I don't want many of what I feel are the same traps that and thank you, Mr. Bob, for that compliment. You are as well. I don't want many of the same dilemmas that I've experienced to persist. I don't want to have someone speaking to a woman for however many days and she doesn't have any interest in you, and then you just end up feeling horrible that you wasted your time talking to her. I don't want a person to go and think that if you talk about this in a manner that doesn't infringe upon or otherwise name call the other person, you're the villain. I can't feel anything but justified in my approach toward this topic, because I'm not here to necessarily give advice on what you should do. I'm giving an opinion that you can choose to take or not. And that's kind of what is so, in a way, annoying about a couple of comments that will be left here and there by various people who are still seeing some of my older content and trying to give their little tidbits. And the main reason for that is when you feel as if, I guess the way to characterize it is, at the start of this year when I made that video, I was, in my view, at the end of my rope. Thank you, Mr. Smith. In the sense that I didn't feel there was anything else I could do that I hadn't done in the past in the way of trying to appeal to, just a given modern day woman. And that was rooted in going and watching all of these various vlogs about, how to do this, how to approach, how to speak, how to text. And, I'm not saying that doesn't work for other people, but it just felt as though there was a disconnect between me and that material, where if I applied it, it just came off as cheesy. It came off as something that was rehearsed or otherwise wasn't natural, because it isn't. You're trying to act in another way, and one can say, okay, well, you should try to change who you are or whatever because you're not successful in this one particular thing. But if you can feel content with who you are on a day-to-day basis, which is what I typically feel, because I have other things in my life that I feel otherwise grateful or appreciative of, that are rooted in what I did. And when you have those things that, I hate how they always, in a lot of these characterizations, assess the person as having as if this lack of confidence thing is only rooted in relationships, that you can't, if you have a lack of confidence in that, you're just not confident at all. And I don't see that correlation, because being able to differentiate something entails having various shifting views in regards to your ability to do this. You might be able to say, I can drive really well, but I can't ride a bike worth anything. You're able to assess your skills and know exactly. And I would think that's confidence, where you're able to know what you're good in and what you're not good in. And it's usually driven by some type of experience. For example, if I say that I'm the best tennis player ever, and I have nothing but trophies all over my house, then I would think that would be correlated by not just my opinion, but also fact, which is that I've had rewards for this thing I'm claiming to be the best in. If I say I'm the worst, person who ever approached, I don't know, chicks or women, rather, some people find that term offensive, which, that's their opinion. And I'm just using that because it came to my mind to say it. I see that as similar to dude, where, neither one is, they're colloquialisms, but they're not, I don't think it's dehumanizing. But again, we're living in the PC era. So in, saying I'm the worst to ever approach, and I'll be backed by being turned down over and over again. And that's essentially what is so perplexing when you go and read a lot of this material that people are putting online in response to not just my stuff, but other people who might speak about this. I don't, for my whole junior and adult life. Well, Mr. Smith, I don't know if you want me to say your name or anything to play it back. I can comprehend that, and I'm not one to judge you, because I don't know the extent of those. And I really want to clarify this. When you're not familiar with a person's entire life story, or otherwise those exact events, it becomes, in my view, difficult to properly assess what went wrong and what happened. So if I tell you that, yesterday I got punched in the face, and I just leave it at that, what is that going to tell you other than the basic event? It's not going to tell you what caused me to get socked, what I did or said, anything. No context. So there are some who would read his comment and negatively impact him or assess him. I don't see him negatively. I just think that's something that happened, and it happened. It's not where I would judge him over it. I may not go to him for dating advice, but I wouldn't go to myself for dating advice. And there's a lot of people I wouldn't go to for it, even those who have been in relationships, and that's rooted in the fact that they've been in a bunch of them and they still keep having to hop from one to the other. So that's not to insult them, but it is to suggest there's, your negativity doesn't have to completely, I don't see him in a negative way as a person. I just see that as something that happened that maybe isn't that good, but that doesn't necessarily say he's terrible. But there are those who think that having a bad track record in one realm shows that you're, bad, or something to that effect. I mean, it's the way we are as a society, where we don't take the time to actually go and talk and speak with the person about what they went through. We just hear something, and they're entirely assessed by that. They're narrowly defined by that one event, which is what I was worried about with that video. Yeah, they're closed-minded. They've made up in their mind, Mr. TFL, that they are going to characterize you, and they're going to characterize you by a single event or part of your life. I don't know what his occupation is, where he lives, his relationships with other people, and nerd and geek. Well, that's kind of my thing when people say they're nerds and geeks, and that's what causes them. And this is where there's, again, the fundamental disconnect. Within every realm that I'm interested in, there are people who are into the same things I'm in that have relationships. There are people who like cartoons that are together. There are people that like politics that are together. I'm sure there are guys who made videos complaining about not being able to get in a relationship that are in relationships that have lasted. I just don't buy that because I vlogged about it to event in a manner that is, I feel, very constructive in light of what has happened, where, sometimes you feel dehumanized by the people who just cut you off, that it doesn't, I don't see this negatively impacting me. And it shouldn't be something to where my affectability as a member of society is now determined based on not only what I had to say, but on it being what it was, which is, if you go and actually watch the content, you'll see my attempt to acknowledge, okay, I might have messed up here, I might have messed up there. I'm not saying I know all the answers or anything. Oh, well, thank you, Mr. TFLI. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I hope you read my other content. Effective. Well, yeah, I guess you're not understanding what I mean by that, so I'll clarify. So there are those who will, as I've said before, characterize you based off of one thing, and their characterizations typically will lead that one thing to determine, in their view, how good you are at others subjects. So, for example, if I were readily known as the guy who struggled to get dates, and I went to apply, I don't know, to become a Walmart greeter, and somebody recognized me off my videos and goes, hey, that guy can't, he's not, he has no proper training with speaking to people. Look at how he was unable to get relationships and had to vlog about it. That would be my idea of actually taking something out of context and applying it to another thing. If that makes sense, or if that's clarified, which would, I think, determine in their eyes, not necessarily accurately, your affectability within society. So I just wanted to make sure you understood, Mr. I think it's Bridgetown. You have your name pushed together. So I hope I've clarified. I hope I've conveyed that I'm very grateful for the, I guess, added attention. And that, this is not my attempt to lambast a whole group of people. I'm fully aware that not all women are alike, because I've had those who are, not within my age bracket, and who are in my age bracket that I was very much impressed by in their ability to act as individuals within society. I am Freeze, and I just recently, thank you. I was gonna say your last name. I don't even know if that is your last name, Tatiana. So, press this thing by accident. There was some other subject I was going to hammer out here. That's the problem. I like to write stuff down, but as I ramble, as the one person said, I will become more likely to deviate from the script and go into some tangent. I'm overthinking it. Well, I'm just going off of what that person has said and responding to it. Hello, the world of Psy. The usernames always trip me up. I'm so used to just a first and last name, so I'll say Mr. This, Mrs. This, or Miss This, or Mr. That, and then you'll have a person who'll come in here with what's a name that they're out there. Do you live stream often? I do. I prefer this over just doing a regular recording, because you get to interact with individuals when it comes to dating these. Well, you can think that I'm only saying what I feel. I appreciate you at least speaking constructively based off of what you just put out. And oh, thank you, Miss. Oh my God, Mr. I don't know if you're male or female. The world of Psy. Thank you. Are you really short? No, I'm 6'2". I don't know why people keep thinking it has something to do with height. I've mentioned this a couple of other times. My best friend is either 5'5" or 5'7", and he told me that he had been turned down by several women, and he told me that they supposedly, or the rest of the, I'm sure we'll get a view. But I'm trying to speak on this. Yeah, he told me that he had been turned down and they had cited his height as a factor, and I told him, well, here I am, over regular height. I would like to watch all the time. No, I just do it whenever I am capable of doing it. So that's kind of on a whim. Now you can, ring the bell, and I'll give you notifications as to whenever my material is coming out. But I don't have a set schedule. I wish I did, because then I'd probably be able to maintain a more active communication, and to the determining of actually creating a productive dialogue. So even if you disagree with me on any of my stances, I'd still be willing to speak to that person if they do it in a respectful and constructive manner. So, as Mr. Bridgetown said, I'm not. He's possibly correct on me overthinking it. I like to look for justifications and things and go off of what I feel is logic. And if he disagrees with that, I can have the dialogue with him, and there won't be any issue because I can see someone else's viewpoint being different from mine for the most part. There are some things I kind of get all confused about and make that expression for, but anyone who watches has trouble. Well, well, I am apparently if he's 5'3", I'm 6'2", so I'm almost a whole head taller than him. I don't think height is a factor. I know a lot of people say that, but I've had people who I've claimed preferences before, and there were those that were able to break out of it. I'm 19, Miss Tatiana. So I have a lot of people just keep asking me that over and over. I think I should just in my description box of my channel put my stats like height 6'2", age 19, what's something else, birthday, state of residence, political party. Just I'm gonna have to do that eventually after people very much. Well, I thank you for that compliment. I don't really try to act any more short than what I think I am. Height definitely gives you an advantage. Yeah, I thought so. I really did. Greetings, Mr. or Mrs. I don't know if Kath is short for Catherine. I agree with you. Good to if you happen to come across them while you're doing your own thing. Oh yeah, I'm not saying that you should stop trying, at all. Well, even though at that point I was kind of disenfranchised. Don't get caught. You can't get. I'm going off of look when I made that Mr. Bridgetown. You guys are all coming in together, like back to back. All of your messages are on top of each other. Thank you, Tatiana, for the compliment. You seem like a nice person as well. All of your, trying to respond. So, Mr. Bridgetown, if I could go back and read that, I just forgot it. Don't get caught up. Idea you can't get. I'm thinking of it this way. There are women who've in the past told me that I appealed to them. Now, I have had 2 within this year say that they wanted an actual relationship, all of that, and it did not work out because they said later on that they didn't want one. My hand's starting to get tired, so this might end in a couple of minutes. And in response to that, I went my way and got over it. How come you got? I don't know. I have no idea. You'll have to ask the people that I guess subscribed why they chose to do it at such a rapid pace. I was shocked. Yeah, but you are getting hung up on these negative experiences. That's possible. And I actually did a video a while back about reality versus negativity, I think. And the main topic was, is it negative but also realistic to think one thing that isn't necessarily good but rooted in fact? And the fact is I've had troubles in the past with acquiring the attention of the opposite sex. And, we can try to filter through them and figure it out because it doesn't help you move forward. Well, I don't know how true that is because a lot of times when these initial turning downs happened, I was very much disappointed, disillusioned. And I guess when you become kind of convinced that it just won't change, get over it, I think it, in a way, was kind of a coping mechanism where now you can say, okay, well, you can't change that, but you can change this, this, and this. And you start looking for more avenues to try and create some betterness of your life. And I know a lot of people keep saying, work on yourself. And it kind of is in line with that, but it also has to do with just looking to enjoy other facets of life, because one that I think, would be beneficial to me isn't allowing itself based on the decision of others to will just fuel until it overwhelms you and takes over your rational. I don't feel that way. I'll tell you that's my disagreement with you, is not really wanting to be because they want to just mess around and have fun. Yeah, I believe it. And my whole thing is that I have kind of my characterization would come from the fact that there are things that oh my god, I'm not telling you to suppress. Just don't keep into there that you can't find one. Well, I'm trying not to, but I'm going off of what I've seen in the past. I understand your commentary. That's all about they want, not a relationship. Yeah, I agree with Tatiana. I don't think I don't want to say it resonates entirely with millennials. I think what we've seen is that people who don't feel an incessant need to just relax and kind of wind things down. I feel that for the most part I'm relatively relaxed. I don't want to, see the world. I don't want to just go out and party all night. And I'm not saying there's anything bad for people that do that, but there's a feeling of me that just likes a stable environment. I like to come home, relax, just calm down, get through the work for the day. Just to lay back to get. I will have a full blown melt. Seeing isn't exactly efficient. Oh no, I don't see all of them that way. I hope you don't think that. I think I said earlier in the stream that I'm able to recognize that there are individuality traits or individual traits within the opposite sex as it relates to my age group, but also that for all of these traits, I have had a very similar result with people who had different personalities that either were closer to mine as I thought or otherwise different. So I'm not. I really hope you don't think I have some gender bias. I can assure you that is not the case. And it was more so due to the fact that I was tired of what I felt was the same result from people whom I could recognize were different that caused me to just say I'm done with the approach. No, I'm not going to try any of them anymore. Because no matter how different they are, I get the same result. I wish, yeah, well, I don't think that, I am some unique facet, but I thank you for that, World of Psy. Look up. I'll make sure to do that after this, Mr. Dispenza. If that, I don't know, with a Z. I'm so used to S's that when I get someone's name that has a Z at the end of it, or in it, not the end of it, I get kind of confused or otherwise surprised because Z is not really as used in the terms of names of actual people, from what I can recall. Oh, these questions are coming so quickly. You guys are all writing on top of each other. Then, especially there, don't have to take. This is why are mature. Have you had to deal with? No, I don't think so. You know, part of the and I kind of have this embargo on my with my stuff where I don't really enjoy talking about issues relating to race because that invites commenters who leave messages that are meant to provoke I guess me in the sense that they say some racial slur, which given how many people use the N-word, I just kind of have taken I don't really take it seriously anymore. We've kind of just overdone it. That's what happens when, yeah, I know that's the that's the gift and the curse and the good and the bad, huh? So I would say that I haven't experienced it. Discrimination is obviously still in existence. I just don't think I have directly dealt with it. That adds up. Which, again, I'm not saying other people haven't had it. There's always this thing where I just keep over clarifying because I've had commenters who will leave messages. You can't really be bitter. You just have to move forward, or you will never get what you want. Well, that's what I've tried to do. I thought to myself, is it better to keep sulking in the past and also hoping, oh, maybe they'll be different, maybe they'll change, maybe they'll be different, or is it better to just say, you know what, it won't work, but all these other things will. Let me try those. I'm not saying that's the way everybody should go, in terms of their approach toward life and those around them. But if you know that trying all these various strategies toward the same group of people or otherwise a particular segment of the population is ineffective, then just why persist in it? And you might say, okay, well, that's letting your negativity just succumb to it, but I don't see your best asset. Well, when you're living day by day while also taking note of the future, understand this. We have seen the two largest mass shootings in American history in less than 2 years, since June of last year. And when you have all of these events that just result in massive pourings of casualties, it should tell you that you don't have 5 years guaranteed. You don't have tomorrow guaranteed. You don't have, the next hour guaranteed. So that's why I felt this need to try and get this and enjoy this thing that kept seeming to evade me no matter what I tried to implement, if that makes sense. We just have to look at it as, not necessarily live for today, but keep in mind that if you want something done, go out and do it. That's part of the reason why I don't wait another 10 years to try and start talking about this topic. I'm doing it now. That's part of the reason why I just don't put things off. I try to get it done. Yeah, Mr. TFL time is no guaranteed or not. Yeah. I didn't want to, because I don't want to consider myself some grammar individual, but I wanted to read it the way it was sent. I knew what you were saying anyway, and I think anyone else would. So that's my piece on it. Whew. Yeah, that one person that complained about the background, or rather the sun coming in, I'll try to do something about that tomorrow. But again, when you're holding the camera and you have to use both hands, or otherwise it just falls to the ground. Most I've seen on it. I know there are a lot of. Well, I thank you for that, Tatiana. I'm not saying you. I'm saying you have time if you want to keep trying. Well, again, when you go through it for years, Mr. Bridgetown, you get tired of it. That's kind of my thing. I knew I still had whatever year or how many years that likely were going to follow. I just thought that why waste them if I'm going to get the same result. Yes, I confirmed my age earlier. You're correct. As in the age you put down, I am. You wrote that. I got a little confused off of it, which might be my inability to recognize your writing style, or just I don't know, the way it was written. It could have been a variety of things. Oh yeah, well again, I'm going off of what I'm aware of that. I'm just telling you that I feel tired of things. You get of it because it ends up doing just stopping. Yeah. In response to Tatiana, yeah. When I made that, I felt as though I was at the end of my rope with that particular facet of my life, where I just thought, I'm gonna keep going out here and I'm gonna keep having people say, oh, just wait until this year, just wait until that year, just wait until you have this, just wait until you have that. But how is that guaranteed to me? And I've seen people who don't have those things still be able to do this. I've had so many people that will come in here. I do what you just live. Are looking at me like when I said well, I'm going off. If I'm out and about. Yeah, you can do that if you feel it's the right thing. I'm 5'6". I told you that I don't buy that height thing. I just think people say that wishfully. I realized it was me. I was the problem. Again, I don't know you. I don't know what particular things about you would characterize as the issue. And we're going way beyond the time I wanted the live stream to be. So I'm 6. Yeah. I don't buy the height thing. I just think it's wishful thinking. I was talking like you. Well, clarify that as my hands gain the numbness and the camera falls to the floor. So I'm very interested in seeing that response. And you're probably going to end up being the final message before I have to go and continue out my activities. But again, to respond to those who inquired, live streams are daily. They're not scheduled at any particular time. Usually it's during the afternoon, but who knows? Do this and women do that. It's their fault, not mine. But I don't see myself as saying that. I think it's more multi-layered than just they're this way and I'm that way. I think, some of them, as they said, were in relationships. Others, found somebody else. Talk to. I don't even know how old she is, so. You can only just need to be on a mission. Yeah, I understand that. Say this guy, but I feel it's very ignorant. Yeah, my best friend is the only person whom I am not related to that has gone out of their way to be involved in the positive experiences of my life. So yeah, the person that sentiment about the short guy, short sweet guy or whatever. That's a true sentiment because he's done that for some others as well. He is one of a kind. And that's kind of what's saddening, that they'll sit there and tell him all this stuff about how he looks, and I don't buy it. I've seen through the veneer. The raw. Hope you find. Yeah, I hope so too, and I thank you for saying that. The world of. I don't want to call you male or female because I feel as if you'll get offended. There's this thing where people will get offended if they have a different name. How you doing, Mr. Tillisford? He might have come in the last minute of the stream because I don't know if I'm gonna keep doing it. Hello, Mr. East. I can't wait to find out that you and Mr. A certain rapper with the last name West are distant cousins. Yeah, I hope you find too. I hope you didn't take. Oh no, well, that's my thing. If you have a difference of opinion from me and you express it in what I feel was a manner that was constructive and not insulting, which is what you did, then I have no grievance with you. We can have disagreements and speak on the topic. That's the only way things get solved. You don't go in the corner and say, okay, well, he doesn't like this, so I'm going to tell him to leave me alone. I'm going to ban him in my chat room. I don't do that. Just speak in a respectful manner. Say, hey, I don't agree with you on this. We can discuss it. It's not an area to argue about. Don't worry, you got to get freaky. Some things don't faze me. Well, I think it does more than just ideology. So there are probably some conservative females and males that would be bothered by being called the wrong gender. But again, they would understand my ignorance is based on their not having an actual username. So if somebody comes in here and they're calling themselves, I don't know, Dwight Eisenhower, and then we find out they're female, if I call you Mr. Eisenhower, then you should know that you kind of set that one up. That makes sense, which I think it does, but again, that's just my opinion. I'm biased toward myself. I don't know what was funny. I guess that joke, I don't know, maybe that was amusing. So, society is a screwed up system. Oh yeah, there's problems here. Somebody gave me when I was younger was not to discriminate. Yeah, I try to do that as well, but it can be. I try to avoid doing that rather, but it can be easily be solved by saying, haha, no. Oh yeah, these things can be clarified with relative ease. I agree. I just think that a lot of times people will just act so reactionary. They don't take into account what could have led to it. Some people are complicated. Yeah, Mr. Baugh, I know that. I mean, I've seen the complexities and just been confused. And I'm not trying to associate myself as 300 to 1,000. Wow. I'm not sure what that refers to, Mr. TFO. Yeah. I don't know what yeah refers to either. People are sending these things. You ever got sad because got with someone else and now you can't? Oh yeah, there was a woman. I guess you could call her a girl. I would just say a woman because that's what she is now. Effectively, and to give you a really short end, abridged version, I got turned down by her within 2 weeks. She was with another male or whatever, and I was bothered by that. So I can relate to the experience of wanting someone and then they get someone else. It's not only do they not want you, they want another person. And it's kind of always been one of my biggest fears. You just keep getting thrown. How are you doing? I don't know if you're male or female. I love the Howling series. You can identify yourself later. You're fine. People come in at various points. We didn't even schedule this, so how can you be late? I didn't put up a little banner that says oh yes, you have to be here at 1 o'clock. Females have a lot of men in line, so as soon as they moved on next, well, you have to continue and go. Well, I think that depends on who you're talking to. I think there is a gender gap in terms of the accessibility of the other sex. Because I have had, as I told you before, about 2 or 3 months ago, I was speaking with this one woman I met. Had said to another that I wasn't future. They know I was so hurt. Well, I'm sorry for that. The world will sigh. People do things that are problematic, but yeah, there's a gender gap. I had a woman I spoke to 3 months ago, and no, I'm Catholic, Mr. Bridgetown. Um, I identify as that anyway. So, why would you even ask that? What does that have to do with whatever? So, as I was saying, the female I spoke to several months ago told me that she had 20 guys message her. And before someone takes out of context, I'm just telling you that she said that she was with all. I mean, it just takes persistence, doesn't it? Or that's what they say anyway. I don't not have our line in. Oh yeah, I'm not saying all. Well, again, this goes back to why I have to keep clarifying and over clarifying and overthinking, as Mr. Bridgetown said. I'm not saying that all women have that. I'm saying that when you get to a certain part of your life, with a number of times, there have been women who just have multiple guys that would date them, and at any point they could approach and say, "Hey, let's go out," and go, "Oh yeah, well, yeah, sure, we'll do this." But I don't think it's everyone. I can't talk, so I get jealous quick. I can't deal with that. Yeah, I would probably feel the same way toward a member of the opposing sex. I'm interested in doing that with a bunch of males having all those dialogues, which, again, if it's one, two, maybe three, okay, but yeah, at some point, just come on, man. Especially since most people, from what I can gather, that you meet, just they don't go out of their way to try talking to you that often. I mean, between when I was in early preschool and I met my best friend, and now, as you know, with past high school and all of that, I just don't have people that continuously try to talk to me. That's because it's hard. Who will cooperate you and not give? Well, you get throwing out those numbers. I grew up make it more complicated than it should be. I don't think my religion has had to do with it. I just think that people have because I've been into women that were of all kind of different religions. I've had some Hindus. I've had some fellow Catholics, some Christians, some atheists or agnostics. It never was really a factor for me, if that makes sense. Because I don't allow any faith to dictate who I like or who I am wanting to be involved with in that manner. Well, you are trying to, instead of a yeah, but I don't think that's based around my faith, Mr. Bridgetown. I think that I just want stability. I enjoy not having to worry about things. I enjoy not living paycheck to paycheck. I enjoy not thinking that a storm is going to hit next week. They're just the comfort, the comfort of knowing that things are not. It's not doomsday scenario. That's why the Trump North Korea thing has people freaked out. They think tomorrow is going to be the last day of their lives when they launch that nuke. I think they deserve the world, and I'm like, no, sit down. Now I will do special things, but not every day. Rather than, that's basically what I was saying. Oh yeah, yeah. I don't think so. I don't know what the Howling series is referring to there. Me and you just got. I'm just scrolling through these. Yeah, I'd rather a. My God, here we go with the sun again. I'd rather an actual. I wish there were more that could stable. Everybody wants to live a rock star life and not want to think about what happens tomorrow. But it's me. I'm constantly paranoid. Complicated though. Most believe that they deserve everything from the moment they. To like the number. I just realized your username. To respond to like the number. That's the generalization that they're talking about. They're gonna go and characterize you as a misogynist and all of that. I think you're probably just annoyed by the state of things, but you have to just keep saying some. That's the quickest band-aid remedy you could use to just not be struck with that banner of being sexist for anyone who actually reads your stuff. And I don't think you are. I'm just going off of what I think you're probably have experienced that's led you to feel that way. Let's see what else is in here. Yeah, thank you for that World of Psy. I hope your paranoia goes away. Rockstar. What else? They deserve. Things were easier before social media. Oh yeah, yeah. Social media has especially on sites like Instagram or any site where you can just go and have a known number of people like something. You're gonna notice that if a man puts up a picture of himself, he will get maybe 5 likes. A woman puts up a picture of herself, 100. A lot of times that's the case. Not everybody. I keep having to say that, but that happens oftentimes. And it wasn't that way back in the original, not the original era, but 2 or 3 decades ago, because the only people who could really assess you and be known were those that were local, that could see you in person. But now you have people from abroad being able to tell you how great you look, and made it hard to but easier for. I don't know about that, Mr. Smith, but I can understand where you're coming from. I think that it's inflamed a lot of people's egos, both male and female. But other than that, I'm not going to speculate. I'm telling you, know it's hard to do. But I started talking, and you guys are sending together. They noticed me, so it's just the time we're living in. Yeah, it's the era, Mr. Tell Us Forward. I don't know if I can call you wearing. Social media is why I'm so ignorant. Come on, Mr. Smith, you cut it out with that. People are going to assess you negatively, and I don't want that. Has destroyed a lot of things. Oh, yeah, to like the number. I've had my grievances with it as well. I actually had someone come on my Instagram and just posts that were from in July, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. They just responded to about 5 of them, and they just kept saying, you better stop speaking about this way, you better stop speaking about that one. And then one of them had to do with feminism, and then I responded to her, and she didn't say anything back. And it's strange, because if you go on her actual account, she didn't have any material that was actually relating to any of the stuff she messaged me about. She had nothing about feminism or the police brutality or any of that. Just it all had to do with taking pictures of herself, showing off how great she looks, which she was a very attractive woman, I have to say. Lights in the way. Well, I'm sorry, Tatiana, but I told you it's supposed to separate people. I don't know about that, Athena. The biggest weapon is social media / social engineering. Oh yeah, people, and the dangers of social media is that you'll have a person just post something, and a lot of people won't even look it up and clarify. They just say, oh yes, this must be the truth. Because my friend Joe Smo is telling the truth about this topic. And he might, I have no reason to believe he wouldn't be incorrect. Because that's my buddy. You'll be surprised. A lot of people take their allies they have a natural bias in favor of their word for it. Trying to change the system we're built is just natural how they're unbalanced. You have some. I keep having to. Okay, so World of Psy was saying, I feel like feminist agenda define social media trying to change the way that we were built as human beings. It's just natural of how we were set up as women and men. To like the number says, feminism is unbalanced. Like if you have anything to say about women, you're automatically misogynist. Tara says, I'm new and just passing by. Are you a Christian? Yes. I would like to talk to her. She said, okay, and sad, awkward, make a good talk. That's what Mr. E says. And don't come to me for advice on this stuff. I'm not able to go and, tell you how to do any of that. I'm not, again, speaking to me about relationship advice is the equivalent of asking a person who's crashed 5 cars how to drive. It's just not a good idea. Then it's run by the elites, make things awkward. Mr. Bridgetown is giggling. What else? Okay, let me respond to like the number. There's a point to be made in generalization, but we have to get out of the period of name calling. Yeah, because feminism supports to be man, you guys trip me up. You guys supposed to be about equality for women, but they completely changed the definition, and their actions haven't made it better either. Yeah. I don't see much being done in the way of advancing women. Um, we have some groups of women that are single mothers. I don't see many assist programs being done to try and help them out. I don't know what the Howling series is talking about. I'm still not. I'm still as unnotable as I was before. Yeah, I just think that there's a basic idea that okay, we're gonna have this ideology, but other than that, they're not doing much in the way of improving the lives of the people they say they care about. Not immature. Oh no, I'm not saying that you're immature. I just think that if it wasn't, it would be something else. Well, again, I'm not. That's hey, Mr. Bridgetown. That was someone else said. I didn't get at it or convey it. So I just don't want that characterization to be there. Somebody else left something. Such a double standard. And one thing I can't stand is double standards. Yeah, World of Psy. I don't like double standards either. But we have many of them that just exist, and people refuse to speak about it. And part of the reason for that is there's an unwillingness to really challenge things. That you go and you do something controversial, and you don't want to fall out with others over it. Double standards are cancerous as well. I agree. Someone says right, or Tatiana says right. To what I don't know. Maybe what I said. I'm not sure. I'm not keeping track of every single message. I don't want this to be to where I try to read through everyone's stuff and respond, and the thing just goes for 3 hours. My arm. So, yeah. To true, okay, feminism to alphanism to true force loneliness. None of it helps. I agree. She says LOL. Tatiana says LOL rather. So I'm in favor of not having double standards. He's gonna get that's wishful thinking, Mr. East. I doubt that the wave of interest in my content is going to ride out that much. Dwelling on it is talking to but when a dude is talking to, well, that's my thing. I don't think if someone just speaks to a bunch of people that makes them promiscuous. I think what you do with that person should be more the determining factor. Because by the definition of that, I am the equivalent of some male prostitute or something because I've spoken to so many women. I haven't done anything with most of them or with any of them except for one, so I don't think that it's necessarily something that where you just I don't think rhetoric alone should cause a person to be negatively identified. If you talk to 100 people, that shouldn't make you, some. You guys gonna have to deal with that a lot. I'm trying to hold this, and one hand is doing this. Two, like the number says, I'm just speaking of my own experiences, though. It's okay for him to do it, but the man can't entitled to be called. But even if you don't find her physically, right. Yeah, well, you gotta understand. A lot of times, people will say that because they, as some women have guessed correctly, just want to have, relations with them. And I'm not saying everyone who says that automatically is trying to do that, but there's a good portion of this. She's elite, able to success. How about prop on the light back there behind you? LOL. I could, but I'm about to. I'm on the we call it the. I'm in the final act of the live stream. Let's put it that way, Tatiana. TFL says we need to just focus on other pursuits, like you said. Relationships, not putting money in my pocket. The World of Psy says, well, I've never been called beautiful by someone who isn't related to me. Yeah, that's part of what I've tried to do. I don't stress on things I don't feel work. We're going to keep you on here for another 3 hours. Why why no more blowing up? I don't know. People are apparently checking that out for whatever reason. Which is, they have the right to do that. I just don't. I'm not really promoting it at all. I just left it there and that happened. Because I kind of put it out, vented in that, and said, all right, well, let me go on to something else. Come back months later, don't leave this. I don't know what leave this. Just end the stream. Well, it's on its last legs. So make of that what you will. Ask all of your intensive questions. You have very limited time to do so. I've never been called either. Yeah, people just don't pass compliments that much anymore. There's always some worrying of an agenda behind it. I went from Well, I didn't mean to, Mr. Delay. Uh, I think a lot of people have had their batteries drained. Where's Pikachu when you need him? Apparently, that's what they're telling me. I don't know. I haven't checked my other stuff out. Just kind of put something out. You go do something and you get have a good day. Or you was when. Okay, TFL says the best relationships were when the women chased me. Yeah, that's you. That's probably, and that's really what I've seen. That you're more often to have someone speak to you for a amount of a time, if they've actually come after you or otherwise indicated interest first. Out of the times where I've had some that actually said that they're interested, it's usually they come on my stuff and with yeah, they come on my stuff and they'll say something. That's usually where GATSG. So you use abbreviate, and then I can't even say his actual name because it's so long. It's mentally draining when just tell you how good, but then you're in this, all that goes down. You're all of a sudden, oh yeah, other people will tell. Well, I will see you some other time. Yeah, see you later, Tara. Yeah, they're. I intend to do another one tomorrow about some topic. I don't think it'll be this long because I didn't intend for it to be this long. It just kind of happened. I tried to respond to most, if not all, of the comments. So stop using that. Stop using my picture. I didn't know it was copyrighted material. I don't know what image he's using. So if he's really using it, you better stop that right now. Yeah, let it be long. No, tomorrow is not going to. We'll have the bridge stream. I think it'll be like 5 minutes. Come on, quick press conference. Come on, ask your questions. Ask your questions. After that, just it's out of here. You may, because it's the same. Me and good seeing someone that have. Well, yeah, my experiences. That's part of what gave me enough, I guess, confidence to just talk about it. I don't feel that I'm the only one who's had this happen. They've had documentaries about this. Okay, what else? Does anyone have coming? I gotta, no, don't make it, I'll miss it. I mean, theoretically, if it's an hour long, you're still going to, you just go back and watch it. People always have this thing where they just want to see something live. I remember when we had the presidential debates last year, I just kept wanting to see them live. How do you deal with being left on scene and not getting your phone calls returned or being led on? I just let it. It happens. When it happens enough times, just kind of don't. It's not really as crushing to you as much as it used to be. Yeah, I've seen him before. I don't know what you mean by life is better. Maybe you figured out the cure for cancer or for the common cold or some other disease that commonly afflicts a lot of people. So that could be one thing. I'm so apologetic for this light. And maybe this is my heavenly figure to see if you keep. I'm not complaining about them. I'm just I don't see this as complaining. I just vented about it and again just spoke about it constructively in my view, but whatever. And again, it's only because people spoke about it and I just responded. I'm about to do something in relation to why I'm right here. Better, no stress. Yeah, I think you guys are in your final minute. You make it to 58, you might as well make it to an hour. So if anyone else says anything, you're in your last minute. Please look up Lost Mode of Prayer. That's new. Haven't heard that before. Oh, I'm so tired. Everything happens for a reason. You put odds. Yeah, no reward. And again, if you say anything about it, you're said to, have some kind of agenda where you think people must fulfill it. No, but if I invest in something, I don't get a return investment, I'm not going to invest in it anymore. Take your business elsewhere. I shouldn't have to run around for a response. Oh, I'm not saying that. I'm not justifying their actions. I just, feel tired of things as well. So that's how I feel about that. You guys are in your last 10 seconds. Okay, so tomorrow another one, probably in the afternoon. Likely 1. Was that Pacific? I feel so ignorant. I guess there is no, what you speak as long as you leave and don't dwell on it after that. That's the point of doing. You just talk about it and get it out of the way. All right, so there should be another. There's definitely gonna be another one tomorrow. The topic, I don't know. It might just be a wide range of things. We'll see. So be on the lookout. Again, if you click the bell, you can get the notification as it comes out or as it's happening. So thank you for watching. Have a good day. And again, it'll be around the afternoon most likely.